We're back. Time for another edition of the Carolina Insider. It's the Rapid Reactions edition after Carolina finds a way against Boston College, 102-96 in overtime. Tar Heels get the win against a team that had lost 5 in a row in 9 of its last 12, but led by 4 with 20 seconds left. BC did. Carolina executed in those final moments. A couple free throws by Seth Trimble, forced a 5-second violation. Seth Trimble made another bucket. Carolina forced another turnover on the other side. It was actually Carolina who got the last shot of regulation. A decent look, honestly, from R.J. Davis from about 30 feet that had a chance to go in. It did not, but the Heels ended up getting the victory in overtime. Jones and Adam here with you. Adam, I'm going to give you a spoiler alert to the Hubert Davis interview that we're going to go to here in just a second. Adam's going to talk to Jalen Washington, who had a career-high tying 18 points. Looked like he had perhaps suffered a severe injury late in the game. Fortunately, it appears as though that is not the case. It appears as though Jalen Washington is okay, which is, of course, great news for both the team and him individually. But Adam, Hubert Davis's last answer in my conversation with him, I think, is the main event of this game, which is – and the main event of the season, honestly, at this point with 21 games played and 11 to go in the regular season. What Carolina is doing is not sustainable. It's not really good enough. And the Tar Heels found a way to win, and that's great because the alternative would have been really, really bad. But with the upcoming 4-game stretch, with what Carolina feels like it should be able to accomplish this year, the way the Tar Heels are playing just isn't enough to get them to that point.
Yeah, what Carolina put on tape in the first 39 minutes or so, right up to the possession where the Tar Heels just overpassed. They were down and were trying to get a basket, but it was like no one really wanted to shoot it, so they just kept passing it to each other, ended up turning the ball over. That part was not good enough. That won't get you to the NCAA tournament. That won't get you really anywhere. The next 6 minutes, the last minute of regulation and the 5 minutes of overtime, the Tar Heels were above average to good. The problem is you had to play overtime against Boston College. But, I mean, they did get the win. They did execute when they had to. The problem was that they had to.
Yeah. And there were certain for Carolina. I mean, I thought Seth Trimble was incredibly important in this game. 18 points, career high, 12 rebounds, 22 for R.J. Davis. He's now been 19 or more in the last 3 games. Ellie Cadeau finished in double figures. Jalen Washington, as I mentioned, tied his career high with 18 points. Ian Jackson, after a quiet first half, was big in the second half. At one point, he had more field goals individually in the second half than the rest of the Tar Heel team. And it wasn't like he had 2 and they had 1. I think he had 6 and the rest of the team had 5 with a couple minutes left. So his offense was huge in the second half, and Carolina needed every bit of it because Boston College, one of the poorer offensive teams in the ACC, Carolina's defense had no answer for. The Eagles shoot 55% for the game. That's even after going 3 of 7 in overtime. So they were up around 58, 59% through regulation. 14 of 24 from 3. The most threes against the Tar Heels this year. The most threes BC has made in a game this year. The highest percentage of three-pointers BC has shot this season. Close to the all-time record of threes made against Carolina, which is 17 by Iowa in the COVID season. Adam and I were there. And because of that incredible three-point shooting, Carolina tried to defend in the post one-on-one, and they couldn't stop it there either. Particularly in the second half, Chad Venning and Jaden Hastings, the 2 big guys for BC, really, really played well. I believe they combined for 18 points in the second half. That's close if that's not exactly right. So, Adam, 2 things are true here. BC played as well as BC can play. Like that is the top of BC, at least offensively. 54.5%, 14 made 3-pointers. BC's not going to play any better, shoot any better than that. And yet, also, Carolina's defense wasn't enough. Again, Carolina won the game, and that's great. And they did some great things to win it. But they put themselves in a position against a team that they should not have put themselves in.
And I think when Boston College goes back and looks at that last minute, they're going to feel like they may have mismanaged that some. Stop making your team have to throw the ball in when the one thing they can't do is throw the ball in because Drake Powell is just too athletic and long-armed for you to get the ball in. But they kept putting themselves in a situation where they had to do that. He forced a 5-second violation, which was big. Probably could have been another one. But then they come into the front court and call timeout again. You can't get the ball in. Why would you do that? And the Tar Heels were able to thwart that play with 4 seconds left and ended up, as you said, getting a pretty good look, honestly, at the end of regulation. You take certain small things from that and say, okay, this is something you might grow from. You are not going to grow from those first 39 minutes when Boston College made some tough shots, but they weren't all tough.
All right, let's get to our interviews. I talked to Hubert Davis. Adam talked to Jalen Washington after this one. We'll get to those and come back, finish things up on a rapid reactions edition of the Carolina Insider. Yeah, thank you, Dave. Coach Davis just now sitting down after Carolina gets the win in overtime, 102-96 over Boston College. We are inside the Continental Tire Coach's Corner. Coach, a wild game, obviously. Your thoughts on your team being able to gut this one out in the extra period?
Two things. One, to congratulate them, and I was just really proud of the way that they stepped up and executed in the latter part of the game. They needed to get stops. They needed to get rebounds. They needed to protect the paint. They needed offensively to execute. They needed to make shots. They needed to make free throws. They needed to get a steals, and they stepped up and did all of that. And so that's just to be celebrated, and I'm just really proud, and I've been proud all year of the fight of this group. And then on the other end, what allowed us to be in that situation. And, coming to this game, percentage-wise defense, we were number one in the ACC, and to allow a team to shoot 55% when, consistently all we talk about is defense, rebounding, and taking care of the basketball, and defense is always first, was very disappointing.
What defense? I mean, obviously BC was successful, but what defensively did you not feel like you guys did to your standard?
You pick it. Ball pressure, containing the ball, one-on-one, in the post, rotations, pick and roll, box outs, defending without fouling, transition, out of bounds underneath. It was everything. And when you allow a team to shoot 55% from the field, you're giving up everything. And take nothing away, Boston College played at a high level today. A number of guys that normally don't shoot the ball well from the outside were fantastic, but they were allowed to get into rhythm. And that's just something that's just, I've communicated with the group. We're at a point of the season where improving is not enough. There needs to be change, and a change in terms of our being consistent on both ends of the floor is going to have to change moving forward in the remainder of the season.
So 20 seconds or so left. BC hits a basket to go up 4 in regulation. What pleased you with your execution at that point in time? What did you feel like you guys did really well?
Yeah, I got to look back on it. There were so many things that were going on. You telling me we were down by 4. We came down and scored.
Seth got to the free throw line.
Got to the free throw line, knocked down 2 free throws, and then we've got 2 deflections out of bounds underneath, and we're able to get a turnover there. And then we executed an out of bounds underneath play that was for RJ. They took that away, gave it to Seth. Seth scored, put it in overtime, and then there is a good thing that we struggled to play because we were nowhere near our guy. And so at the end of the game, we had fouls to give. Yeah. And so we were able to foul and put us in a situation where we got to stop. So there is silver lining on that. That's good. You're not laughing.
No, I was laughing. I knew that was tongue in cheek there. 18 points, 12 rebounds for Seth Trimble. He had those last 4 of regulation, the 12 rebounds, a career high. It just felt like his activity was important today.
He was amazing. His activity, his will, his want-to, his energy, his effort, his attention to detail was off the chart, and we're not even close to winning this game without Seth. Another person that changed the game was Tyshawn. Ty changed the game. He scored, but his energy changed the game completely. And we got into the huddle and we said, there's one guy playing with the energy, effort that you have to in order to put yourself in a position to be successful. And he played 5 minutes, and the minutes he was in the game, he changed the game completely for us.
Last thing, Coach, can this be some kind of spark for you guys? I mean, this was a game where you were staring at some bad news there with a couple seconds left and come back and make it happen. Can this be a rallying point, I guess, for your team?
I don't know. If you look at our season, I feel like, we've lost some games that we should have won. And I feel like we've won some games we should have lost. And I will say this, Jones, what's not sustainable is what we're doing. Being in this situations is fine, but what I take it a step further, what is getting us to these situations? That's not sustainable. And just moving forward, things are going to have to change because, we play Pitt on Tuesday and then we play Duke a week from today.
Difficult stretch upcoming for sure for Carolina. They do go into that stretch with a really hard-fought win. Had to get to overtime to do it, but beat BC today 102-96. Coach, thank you for your time, and we look forward to talking with you this week.
All right, thanks a lot, Jones.
That's Hubert Davis, guys. Continental Tire, Coach's Corner.
Alongside the one person that everyone in Carolina world wants to hear from, Jalen Washington. Nobody wants to hear me talk, J-Wash. J-Wash, how are you?
I'm good. I'm all right. I'm glad we were able to dig deep and come out with the win.
Look, everybody's glad the Tar Heels got the win too, but they want to know how you're doing health-wise. What happened there at the end, and are you okay?
I'm good. Just had a little bit, like knee gave out a little bit. I'm all good though. Health-wise, I'm gonna be all right. I'm gonna be fine.
Okay, that's what everybody wanted to hear. Now about the game.
Yep.
How'd the Tar Heels do that? How'd you come back and get that win in overtime?
Man, we just dug deep all game. We were getting what we wanted on the offensive end, but just defensively, I could take accountability. I wasn't doing well defensively, but we had guys just step up. We had Drake made incredible defensive plays towards the end, which got us possessions, and we were just able to dig deep and find a way.
What was the goal defensively as they started having so much trouble getting the ball in bounds? What was the message in the huddle? Because a lot of timeouts, a lot of stoppages in there to try to figure out exactly how you wanted to play that.
Really, we were just running our press at the end, but Drake is he's like almost like an alien. He's got incredible length, incredible athleticism, and he was just really being a hawk on the ball, and it came out huge for us.
Tar Heels made a change in the starting lineup today. You came off the bench and responded with 18 points. What did you want to do once you got the news that you were not going to be starting? What did you want to do once you came off the bench?
Really just play better. I don't think it's anything too specific. Just relax and go out there and play basketball. Didn't have the best game against Wake. We didn't win. So just really wanted to refresh. Come out here. Take the challenge. Coming off the bench, and just help the team make an impact.
They hit 14 threes. Were those mostly from what you could see? Were those guarded threes that they were just hot, or was there something they were able to exploit defensively?
I think defensively, on our pick and rolls, just having a little bit more of an impact on the ball as bigs specifically, just so that those guards aren't able to get depth and pull in our weak side guys, and that's what gave them those open threes.
Speaking of those pick and rolls, you've become a weapon there, both shooting the mid-range, but now also you found Ian in the corner a couple times today. What are you looking for when you run that play with Elliott, when you get the ball right there around the free throw line?
Well, I know if they give it up early, if I don't have like a shot or a little floater, most teams are kind of pulled in, and we got strong side corner. Ian's knocked down a lot of shots. I remember like in the state game, he had a bunch of big ones, so I got the utmost confidence in him whenever he's shooting the ball. And then if I kind of get a little bit later, I'm around the basket, it's most likely going to have to be a finish.
It had been a tough week. What is into what is the most difficult stretch of the regular season?
It definitely boosts the team morale. It's another win in the books in conference play. It just keeps our hopes alive. But we're never satisfied with one win. We want to just keep stacking and keep building. So we're gonna learn from things that went well this game for us and things that didn't go as well for us. And we're just gonna keep putting one foot in front of the other and keep building.
That's the very welcome voice of Jalen Washington, who says he's okay, and the Tar Heels are okay because they get a win. Jay Wash, thank you.
No problem.
So Tar Heels improved to 13-8, 6-3 in ACC play. And Adam, we have reached this stretch that we have been talking about in various outlets for weeks now for Carolina. A 4-game stretch of at Pitt, at Duke, Pitt at home, at Clemson. And after that's at Syracuse, by the way, who is playing better, hasn't had a very good year, but is playing better. So if you add the orange in there, that's 4 of the next 5 on the road. 4 of those 5 games are against teams that are clearly in the top third of the ACC, including Duke and Clemson, who I think, along with Louisville, are the teams that have proven the most at this point in the league. It comes down to this for Carolina. The Tar Heels have to play a lot better. They can certainly win these games, but they've got to play a lot better than they have here recently.
You're going to have to beat some of these teams on the road. That's what happened when some of the games were lost in November. You knew you would eventually get to this stretch, which we've been talking about since the schedule came out in October as being a very tough part of the schedule. You're going to have to beat some of these teams. Being close isn't going to be good. 1 possession loss, not good enough. 1 point loss, not good enough. You're going to have to get some wins here if you want to be a part of the postseason. And that starts on Tuesday against a Pitt team that has been problematic. And Carolina's going to have to show up ready to play.
Carolina won both games against Pitt last year. Both were extraordinarily competitive, but Pitt had won, I believe, 3 in a row over the Tar Heels before that. And it will be a physical fight. So normally is when the Panthers are involved. I don't mean that in any other way than it will be physical on the court, and you got to go win it. Adam, last thing. It is confounding why Carolina can't put both sides of the ball together for a full game. The offense today was really good. I mean, we told you what BC shot. Carolina shot better, 56%. The Tar Heels got to the free throw line for 33 attempts, made 26 of them. 6 of 16 from 3, not like mind-blowing, but feels like the right amount of threes for this team to take. And you make 37.5%. So the offense, when you left Winston-Salem on Tuesday, you just couldn't figure out what Carolina was doing offensively, but they had played well defensively, and then it's 180 degrees from that today. It's been hard to find the consistency.
This one feels like the outlier. Like you heard Hubert Davis say with you, Carolina's numbers defensively have been very good, but they were not good tonight. And you're going to need, like, 1/2 of the game is not going to win you any of these next 4. So you're going to have to figure out a way to put both of those together because now you're back to playing teams like you played in November.
58 points in the paint today for Carolina, 12-2 advantage in fast break, out-rebounded BC by 13, and won by 6 in overtime. Okay, we're next home game for the Tar Heels is a while from now. It's Pitt. I think it's two weeks from now, Adam. Tar Heels on the road for 2 games this week, then have a midweek off, so it'll be a while before we're back with you on the Rapid Reactions. But don't worry, you can always listen in on the Carolina Insider podcast, audio version out twice a week on Tuesdays and Fridays. Hubert Davis Live Monday night. We will be recording that one with Coach Davis again this week due to team travel. We're back at Top of the Hill live the next Monday after that. So still a lot of Tar Heel content, even though we won't be with you for a Rapid Reactions edition presented by Modelo for a couple of weeks. For now, Carolina wins it, 102-96 in overtime. And it has indeed been a Rapid Reactions edition of the Carolina Insider presented by Modelo.